The good news is, if you're taking the LSAT this fall, there's going to be less material for you to study. Today, I'm going to share with you what I would personally do if I wanted to score 175 on the LSAT in August, September, or beyond. For those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz, and I personally increased my LSAT score from a 152 to a 175 on LSAT test day. Now, August and September present a massive opportunity for you because, of course, LSAT has finally removed the logic game section and replaced it with a second scored logical reasoning section. This means you can double down and narrow your focus on logical reasoning, and any gains you make in your understanding of the logical reasoning section will be doubled across the two sections. Now, of course, there's less material available to study because LSAT has deleted logic games, and they've also similarly reduced the number of practice tests available as they reorganized for the new format. There used to be 94 numbered exams. They've now cut that down to 58 numbered exams available to you in LawHub in the new prep test format with the new scoring, simulating what you're going to experience on LSAT test day itself. Now, I'm going to share with you how I would orient my studying around preparing for the August and September LSATs, given that there is limited time to study. Rather than spending time building a foundation, drilling questions by type, or doing individual timed sections, I would focus a lot more on taking full-length timed practice tests and reviewing those mistakes in depth, because we've got, of course, well less than 3 months between now and September, less than 2 months between now and August. And so if you feel that you need time to build the foundation to drill by type, I'd recommend delaying until October or November. You could still take those tests and apply to law school this cycle. November is not too late, but if you're aiming for August or September and you wanted to make sure that you were going to maximize your odds of getting that 175 or above, I would take 2 timed exams a week and review those mistakes in depth, properly simulating test day conditions, taking ideally at least 10 to 20 exams before the October test, aiming to take 15 to 20 exams before the September test, and taking ideally at least 10 exams before the August test. Now, these exams should be strictly timed, simulating test day, meaning 2 timed sections back to back, a 10-minute break, and 2 more sections back to back, assuming standard timing and no accommodations. Now, the review process is based here on my Socratic review method framework that I cover with my students inside the LSAT Unplugged program. If you're aiming for a 175 or above and you want my help in reviewing properly with a personalized approach, you can check out the links below this video to find out more and to book a call with me, my team. We'd be glad to help you out. Now, with this Socratic review method, we are looking systematically at every element of the question to figure out what led you in the wrong direction and why, so that you can course correct for the future and avoid making the same mistakes again. So in logical reasoning, for example, we're looking at the stimulus, the question stem, and the answer choices, looking for patterns in the mistakes that you're making. So if you are commonly often drawn to a tempting wrong answer, we want to look at what made that wrong answer choice tempting and what ultimately makes it wrong, and what made the right answer choice unappealing and what ultimately makes it correct. Because of course you have traps of encouragement towards the wrong answer and traps of discouragement away from the right answer. And until you can figure out what mistakes you're making and why, you're of course likely to end up making the same mistakes again and again, because LSAT, as I said, the LSAT is a test of pattern recognition. Because you're not devoting any time to logic games anymore, you should go a lot deeper on exploring those patterns in logical reasoning, because LSAT is lazy. They reuse old methods of reasoning, old arguments, and dress them up as new arguments. So we're taking timed exams, we're reviewing them in depth. Now, what do you do differently between August and September? The answer is nothing. You don't change anything at all. The reason I would take both the August and September LSATs is simply because September gives you another at-bat plus an additional month to take exams and review. Now, let's say that you were aiming to score a 175, but your prep test average was only a 171 or a 172. Now, you may get lucky in August and score 3 points higher than your PT average if you go from 172 average to 175 on test day, but you also might not. And you're going to have to wait a couple weeks to get your score back. August LSAT scores come back August 28th. September LSAT is less than 3 weeks later, more like 2 weeks later, if that, less probably. And so if you're taking September, you cannot take a break in your studying for 2-3 weeks just to wait for your score from early August until late August. So you keep taking practice tests, you keep reviewing them in depth, and now you've got another 8, 10, maybe 10 exams under your belt between August and September. You have another at bat. Even if you scored 172 on the nose in August, you could then get lucky in September and get that 175 scoring on your high end. And if you don't, no big deal, because law schools do not average multiple LSAT scores. They only take the highest. For this reason, I recommend that virtually everybody take the exam more than once, because through luck alone, you could do a few points better. And of course, the additional month doesn't hurt either. The additional practice tests and review don't hurt either. And again, if you don't score higher, if you stay the same or drop a little bit, no big deal. Law schools will only take the highest score into consideration because it's all they have incentive to care about, given that the highest score is pulled by the American Bar Association, which in turn hands it over to US News for inclusion in the US News Law School rankings. Anyway, folks, that's all for now. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.